Do you know that as a leader, you must be very careful on what you say and do not say? The Bible says that the tongue has the power of life and death. Welcome. This is Marketplace Media, an online platform that engages, equips, and encourages believers to say inawezekana. If this is your first time being here, we encourage you to hit the subscribe button so that every time when we upload a new video, YouTube will be able to notify you. Welcome. My name is John Kimani. We want to learn about 10 words that you must avoid as a leader. Remember, part of how, or part of the way leaders are able to communicate with their people is through communication. If a leader is unable to pass the message, then he has failed feet flat on the floor on becoming a good leader. But then, as a leader, there are 10 important words that you must be able to avoid. And this being the new month of February, it's very important that we look at those words so that we can avoid them. Now, in Proverbs, let's read the book of Proverbs 18 verse 21. The Bible says that the tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. I hope you got that right. Okay? Can I read that again? Can I read that again? That the tongue can bring death or life. Those who talk about it. You know, the Bible is so interesting. Very, very interesting in the way that it talks. Because if you read this same verse, that is Proverbs 18, verse number 21, let me bring it again. The tongue can bring death and life to those who talk, and those who love to talk will reap the consequences. Now, allow me to give it in the NIV. And these are the words. The tongue has the power of life and death. Those who love it will eat its fruits. Okay? Maybe we can try to get it in Swahili. Okay? So that we read it well. Mauti na uzima. Now look at that. Mauti na uzima huwa katika uwezo wa ulimi, nao waupendao watakula matunda yake. There's another very good version here that says, what you say can mean life or death. Those who speak with care will be rewarded. Those who speak with care will be rewarded. Actually, the Bible has about 100 verses that actually talk about our speech, and more especially on how a leader should be able to communicate. Now, as leaders, our true nature is actually magnified, or is actually seen when we open up our mouth. And by the way, as a leader, you really need to be careful because of Matthew chapter 12. Let's read that. Matthew chapter 12, because this is very important for you to be able to look at it. Matthew chapter 12, we'll read verse 36. Let's read verse 36. What does the Bible say? Okay? Let's read. And I tell you that on the judgment day, people will be responsible for every careless thing they have said. I tell you that on the judgment day, people will be responsible for every careless word that they said. I want us to read it in that version. Okay? The Bible says, and I tell you that you must give an account on Judgment Day for every idle word you speak. And so we pause to ask the question, what are some of those careless words, some of those words that we should avoid as leaders? Here they go. Number one, we should avoid what we call falsehood. In other words, we should not say things that are untrue. The book, you can write Ephesians chapter 4, verse number 25. Let's read that. Ephesians chapter 4, verse number 25. The Bible says, okay, stop lying to each other and tell the truth, for we are part of each other. And when we lie to each other, what are we doing? We are hurting ourselves. And right there we see that every time when we lie to each other, every time when we do not talk the truth, every time when we misrepresent the facts, what we are actually doing to each other is that we are hurting each other. So Jesus Christ, one of the words that we need to avoid is lies, falsehood. The next word is what we call anger. Okay, angry words. The following verse in chapter 4, verse 26, the Bible says, if you are angry, don't sin by nursing your grudge. Don't let the sun go down with you while stay angry. Get over it quickly, which means that words spoken in anger are actually hurting. They are actually hurt people. And as leaders, we must also be very careful that we do not talk words that are hurting. Sometimes in marriage, more especially, or also in parenting, sometimes we find ourselves speaking words that we are like, and things happen. Let's be honest. Your wife, your children, your spouse can actually hurt you, and you find yourself saying words that you should not say in the moment of anger. And so it is very important that we ask the Lord to help us not to speak in anger. Number 3, we should avoid what we call obscene talk. Obscene talk. In the same chapter, the same book, we read chapter number 5, verse number 4. What does the Bible say? Now let's read. Now, dirty stories, full talk, and coarse jokes, these are not for you. Instead, remind each other, God of goodness, and be thankful. I want us to read in a different version. Also, there must be no evil talk among you. Don't say things that are foolish or filthy. Don't say things that are foolish or filthy. Umeona hiyo? Have you seen that? Okay? Let's still read it in another version so that we are able to see what the Bible says here. Okay? Obscene stories, foolish talk, and coarse jokes, these are not for you. Obscene stories. Obscene is something that is dirty, that is sexual, words that are sexually provocative, foolish talks. These are not words that we should be speaking as Christians. As a leader, avoid obscene. And let's put it again on the screen, that obscene stories, foolish talk, and coarse jokes, these are not for you. And remember, Paul was speaking with Christians. We've gone into places where Christians talk dirty to each other. They talk foolish things to each other, things that don't please God, things that are dirty. As a leader, avoid that. Obscenity, we are saying, is a talk that is designed to allow sexual excitement. Any talk that is geared to raise sexual excitement. Number 4, and we've seen it, is what we call foolish talk. Again, the same verse. Foolish talk. Things that don't build. This is the talk that does not add value. Paul, also in 2 Timothy, chapter number 2, verse number 23, makes this statement. Again, I say, don't get involved in foolish. Now Paul actually qualifies involved in foolish, ignorant arguments, because they only start fights. You see, what we talk about when we talk about foolish talk, we are talking about a foolish talk that does not add value. In other words, it's foolish in the words that it doesn't give you you can't get an idea from it. Number 2, you can't get an insight. It doesn't teach you a lesson. It doesn't add value to you. Foolish, it simply says it actually does not profit you. That is what Paul says. So we should not use falsehood. We should avoid falsehood. We should avoid angry words. We should avoid obscene talks. Number 4, we should avoid foolish talks. And then number 5, we should avoid joking. And again in Ephesians, and we've read this, Ephesians 5 verse 4, very, very important phrase there. I want us to read in contemporary English version there kindly. In contemporary English version, what does the Bible say? The Bible says, don't use dirty or foolish or filthy. Instead, say how thankful you are. There is a version here. Let's read it in the English Standard Version. Let's see how it goes. Let there be no filthiness, nor foolish talk, nor crude joking, which are out of place, but instead let there be thanksgiving. There is a version that actually uses the word coarse joking. I'm thinking it should be that one. There must be not really. We can't find that one. Let's do it in the Message. Those sometimes just love taste of gossip, Christians have better uses of language, and that don't talk dirty or silly. I'm looking for a version that actually uses the word coarse joking. Let's see the Living Translation. Let's see what it says. Dirty jokes, full talk, and coarse jokes. Yes, these are not for you. Okay, coarse jokes. Coarse joking is the kind of jokes that are out of place, jokes that are not intended to poke fun, but actually they demean, they undress. You see, the kind of, by the way, the mchongoano. By the way, I can ask, is it okay for Christians to engage in mchongoano? Is it okay? Because it actually borders on what we are talking today on coarse joking. You know, is it okay to do mchongwano? Please drop a comment. This is this is Marketplace Media, an online platform that engages, equips, and encourages believers to say inawezekana. Is it okay to do mchongwano? Is it okay? Please drop your comment there, and please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can grow the community. Number 6 is too many words. Avoid as a leader too many words. Avoid. In Proverbs 10, in Proverbs number 10, chapter 10 that is, we'll read verse number 19. Okay? What does the Bible say? Listen to this. Don't talk so much. Don't talk too much, so much. Okay? Yeah. You keep putting your foot in your mouth. Be sensible and turn off the floor. Okay? Let's read it in another version. You will say the wrong thing if you talk too much. You will say the wrong thing if you talk too much. So avoid as a leader. Avoid as a leader talking too much. Avoid as a leader talking too much. Number 7, I think. We've talked about don't allow 10 words you must avoid as a leader. Avoid falsehood. Avoid what we call angry words. Avoid obscene talk. Avoid foolish talks. Avoid coarse joking. Avoid too many words. Okay? You know? By the way, do you know that you can win very many friends by reasoning? You can win so many people. And by the way, part of my career requires talking. But I've also learned that people appreciate when I sit and listen. Just reasoning, not talking. Okay. Just remembering that God gave us 2 ears and only 1 mouth. Very, very important for us to realize that. Okay. Number 7 is avoid flattery. Flattery is saying things about other people in a manipulative way so as to win, so as to, you know, it is not the truth. You say you are very smart, but the reason why you are saying, you're telling people they are very smart is with a goal, it's with a hidden agenda. Flattery is manipulative. It is the kind of language that we see with charismatic preachers. It's the kind of talk that we see with the politicians. There is a way, there is a messaging that is being done, and it is geared towards winning a cause, you know, being elected. It is smooth, it is flattering. When you flatter somebody, you misrepresent, you exaggerate the truth so as to appear likable, so that you manipulate them in a certain way. Now, and the Bible is actually against that. Let's read Proverbs in chapter number 26, verse number 28. This is what the Bible says. Proverbs 26, verse 28. Watch out for anyone who tells lies and flatters. They are out to get you. And Christians, please watch out for anyone who tells you lies and flatter. Flattering is when somebody does a messaging that sounds so true, that sounds so convincing. Kumbe, look, what does the Bible say? They are out there to get you. If we get this in the the Living Bible, flattery is a form of hatred and wounds glory. Now look at that. It's so amazing how the Bible puts this, that flattery is a form of hatred and wounds in a very cruel manner. And we've seen politicians, most especially, we've seen charismatic, the televangelists, not everybody, but most of them going out there and using flattery. Okay? And what is the end product? Is that they wound people in a very cruel manner. As a leader, avoid flattery. Don't message things in a way to sway them, to deceive them, to make them to go to your direction. Present the truth as it is. Leave them to make the decision. Okay? Please, let's not use flattery. Much as you may need money, much as you may want to win the votes, tell the people the truth. They will vote you in. Why use flattery? I don't know, immediately, you promise things that you really know that you can't do them. You message things in your promise keeping. You message it in such a way that you want to woo people, but even as you woo people, remember, people will remember. And a lot of leaders, more especially politicians, will have it very rough, because the way they message their things is so juicy. It's use of flattery. Number 8, swearing. Avoid swearing. Jesus Christ warned us in Matthew chapter 5. And I would want us to listen to these words because they are very, very important. This is what Jesus Christ said about swearing. But I say, don't make any vows. And even to say by heavens, it is sacred vow, for the heavens are God's throne. Let me try to get this in the contemporary version, okay? But I tell you, do not swear by anything. When you make a promise, heaven is God's throne, so don't swear by heaven. Don't swear. Don't swear. Some of you ask me, John, but you're supposed to make an oath when you go to court of law. Should I not? In other words, the message here is, when you make a vow, don't just make vows for the sake of making them. Ensure when you make a vow, you keep it. Number 8, a leader should avoid gossiping. A leader should avoid gossiping. Now, in the same, well, let's read the book of Proverbs. We'll read Proverbs chapter 16, verse number 28. Here we go. The Bible says, gossip is no good. Gossip is no good. It is juicy and everybody wants to listen to gossip. But isn't dear leaders, gossip is no good. It causes hard feelings and it comes between friends. And those are the dangers of gossip. Now, allow me to read it in another version so that it comes out. A troublemaker plants seeds of strife. Gossip separates close friends. Part of why there is a lot of hatred and hostility in the churches is all in the name of a gossip. Something was said, and we're not supposed to, and then somebody goes and tells you, so and so said this and this about you, and the two people have separated. It's a big problem within churches. Avoid gossip. Number 9 is avoid slander. Avoid slander. As a leader, avoid slander is when you speak maliciously in a way to damage the reputation of somebody. In Proverbs chapter 10, verse number 18, this is what the Bible says. Okay? This is what the Bible says. I want to read it in one of the versions here. I want to see what it says in the New Living Translations. But let's read it in a version here. What is this? Let's read it in the Message. Message says it better. Okay, let's read it here. Liars secretly hold hatred. Fools openly spread slander. Slander. So and so told me this. You break confidentiality. You say things you should not say. And a lot of PAs and a lot of protocol people, a lot of drivers, a lot of house girls have led to homes being broken into, big shots being killed, because they breached the protocol of information. As a leader working with a big person, be very careful of what you say about your boss. Be secretive. Don't just say things. We were with so and so and he said. No. Be very cautious. A lot of us have lost favor simply because we slandered, we announced things that we should not say. We let out the cat out of the bag. As a leader, avoid slander. Okay? So let's take it again. As a leader, 10 words you should avoid. Number 1, avoid falsehood. Number 2, avoid angry words. Number 3, avoid obscene talk. Number 4, avoid foolish words. Number 5, avoid coarse joking. Number 6, avoid too many words. You just say the words that you need to say. Number 7, avoid flattery. Number 8, avoid swearing. Number 9, avoid gossiping. And number 10, avoid slander. Slander, we've said, is saying something untrue about a person or deliberately spreading a false report. Well, slander is always false and it is usually done with an intent to harm. Okay? Very, very important. This is Marketplace Media, an online platform that engages, equips, and encourages believers to say in ways. If this is your first time being here, we encourage you to hit the subscriber button. Please let us know what is it that you've learned today, and thanks so much for watching. I'm your host, John Kimani, and if you're looking for live streaming services, why don't you look for a Marketplace Media. Their number is 0706 566 555. Until next time, this is Conversations on Leadership. We were learning about 10 words that we should avoid as leaders. If this has been a blessing,